Do you think your top performers are leaving for better pay? Here's the truth. Most of them aren't chasing money. They're chasing energy. They're chasing momentum. And they're asking, what's next for me here? And many leaders, many business owners, we don't have the answer. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to build those growth paths to make your best people want to stay. Not because they have to, but because they see a future with you. Let's talk about how growth, not salary, is the real retention strategy. Hey everyone, welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I'm your host, John Espinosa. I help business owners hire and retain top talent by building high-performance teams. And today, we're going to do that by identifying these growth paths. And, one thing that we just throw money at problems as business owners. And if you're a small business owner, you don't got a lot of money to go around. And if we give everybody raises, guess what? That cuts down on the bottom line. So how else can you as a business owner, you as a leader, or maybe you're listening to this as an employee, how else can you've already gone to your boss and you've said, hey, can I get a raise? And they just said the money's not there. So what else can you do to get the most bang for your buck? That's what this episode is going to talk about today. Before we jump into today's episode, if you're not subscribed to this channel, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button. It helps get the word out about what people really want to hear. And if this is something that you find value in, it's free. Click on that subscribe button. I appreciate it. When we get into the content, I want us to understand that pay is great. I'm not saying that everybody needs or wants a raise, because that's one thing that, yearly that I look forward to as an employee, that I look forward to giving my employees bonuses, raises, some type of incentive, monetary incentive on performance. But there are other things that you can do. Maybe this is a tough year for you. Maybe, it just hasn't been there. Revenue hasn't been there. So what else can we do? This wasn't a growth year. During those growth years, we got enough money to throw around. But if you are in one of those years that it's tight, the budget's tight, these are some things that you can do. The first one, and I went on a walk this morning with Max, my lab, and I was like, okay, we've been going on these walks, and I've been reflecting back specifically on the topic for today. And I want to really redefine the word growth, because when we say growth in any type of business culture or organization, it means that next promotion, that next title. And I remember as an employee, it was if I wasn't taking on the next title or I wasn't leading the next team, people viewed that as I was just being complacent. And that's not the case. There are many people out there who aren't about that next title or aren't about that next promotion. But that doesn't mean that they don't want to grow in their position or maybe cross-train. And we'll talk about some of those kind of applications that I've been able to implement in my teams, and I've also coached others on. So one thing, let's redefine what it means when I say the word growth. It doesn't just mean a promotion or a title. And for here, it could mean a new purpose. You could be leading a project or on a particular maybe customer portfolio, and your purpose is, it's getting old. You kind of get into the same routine. So I want to either go out and grow my portfolio, or maybe I want to switch portfolios with somebody. So purpose could change. Skill mastery, picking up an extra skill. When I was looking to get into project management, I remember it seemed like a long road, but I sat with a mentor, I sat with somebody that had done it, and they laid out that roadmap, and I was able to methodically, slowly build up the hours that I needed to obtain a certification in project management. Or it could be impact. Maybe there's a project that you see coming on board, and maybe it's something that really is outside of your scope, outside of your expertise or your wheelbox. That could be the growth opportunity. So adding impact in different ways. Those are ways outside of promotion and titles that people can really get into these growing opportunities. People, for the most part, as long as they are progressing, they are growing. It's not just progressing to the next promotion or progressing to that next raise. It really is, what am I doing to better myself? And when people have that growth mindset, it allows really the business to flourish. Again, people always like, well, if I grow them, if I train them up, if I give them good opportunities, aren't you afraid they're going to leave? My question is always, what if you don't do that? They'll probably end up going to leave anyways. So grow them, help your business, uncover your also blind spots. Because in a team, if we're not pushing people to be better, we'll never discover what our blind spots are or our areas of opportunity to grow. So if it's not that person, if it's not you, then it can be somebody else. But again, we've established that roadmap. We've identified where we need to grow others. Everyone, a quick break in the episode today. Are you struggling to find and keep the right employees? You're not alone. High turnover drains time, money, and morale, leaving us frustrated, overwhelmed, and feeling like we have to settle for less. I understand how tough hiring can be because I've lived it. And with over 21 years of building high-performance teams, I know how to turn hiring challenges into lasting employee success. Through my proven lead framework, we're going to analyze your processes, design a personalized strategy, and implement solutions that create confident and long-term results. Don't let turnover hold you back. Choosing this program is that first step towards a thriving workplace. Enroll today at thejohnespinosa.com and build the team you deserve. Imagine a team that works seamlessly together or keep facing the same costly cycle of turnover. The choice is yours. Now back to our episode. So micro growth opportunities are excellent ways. And these are some good applications here. Stretch projects. What are some areas that maybe is outside of even the business model, even your comfort zone as a business owner, as a leader? Where can somebody step in and take on those types of projects? Those are growth projects. Other things that I've done is mentorship. A lot of times, and I'm not talking about creating a mentorship program. It can be informal. Mentorship can be, hey, John, we got a new employee, or we got an employee that wants to grow in an area. I know you have that expertise. Would you mind taking 30 minutes of your time, a week, whatever that looks like, negotiate that, contract that, and help that person out? You're getting impact because you're getting questions, and maybe as the mentor, you're learning the new process or learning the process again. You're getting to teach it, and that new person is able to grow. So but you got to contract that as a business owner. Don't just throw people together and have no purpose. That's just going to frustrate them. Sit them both down or sit with the mentor first and say, hey, this is an opportunity that I have for you. It allows them, and if you're looking for maybe them to step up in a leadership role, it's going to give you that opportunity to see if they can develop others. Because when you get into the role of a leader or the role of a business owner in that entrepreneurial spirit, we have to develop others. Because if we're the single point of failure, we'll never be able to step away. We don't own a business, we own a job. So that mentorship opportunity, it's a two-way street. And then cross-training. I have really grown in a lot of areas by cross-training. Some of it has been me going out and asking. Other opportunities, maybe I had a leader or a boss that recognized that, hey, John, I need you over here, or would you be interested? I just recently got asked to take on a new role within one of the organizations that I'm in, and it's going to stretch me. I was sitting on the phone, I remember, and they were explaining the position. He was explaining why he thought I would be good for that position, and I had like a little frog in my throat. I had a little hesitation there. Everything inside of me wanted to say, I don't know about that. Let me think. But what came out, what I've learned is take that leap. Go before you're ready, and we'll be able to figure it out. But that was a growth opportunity that person recognized in me that I was ready for. So cross-training, excellent way to dip your toe in the water to figure out if that's something that you like. And luckily for me, it's worked out. So one thing that, I want to think when we go into organizations, I always see a career ladder. And that career ladder normally has to do with titles and promotions. But what I want us to begin to think about, again, not just growth as a title or a promotion, but a career lattice. So how can you maybe go across and then up? I got out of really the technical job series is what we call it, in my current organization. And it was with a lot of hesitancy, but I did it to go across. I took a lateral move in order to go up. And for some people that can be a little scary. I get it. But just realize that sometimes you do have to go across in order to go up. And then you may have to come back across, right, to get to where you're going. My entire career has not been a career ladder. It has been a career lattice. So begin to think about, as we talk about the next two topics within the episode today, how can you create a career lattice within your organization? Or if you're an employee in a current organization, how can you create that career lattice for your career? Another application, I should say, is if you're a leader, it's not where do you want to go next? Begin to condition your mind to ask the question, where do you want to grow next? Where do I want really your next growth opportunities? Because they've been thinking about it. I promise you, they've been talking about it with their significant other. Maybe they've been talking about it with their colleagues. And not everybody wants to get a promotion and a title, but we all want to grow. It is natural, especially if you have a team of high performers, they want to grow. So where do you want to grow next? And do that quarterly. Don't just wait till the annual review. You can even do it monthly. When are you going to have that conversation? Or when's the last time that you asked your employees where do they see themselves growing next? If it's been a while, let's go back and revisit that. So one of the things, I preach on, and if you've been listening to this podcast for quite some time, how can we integrate it into our culture? So one, how do we think differently about the topic? Not just a promotion or a career ladder, that's growth. Now, how do we begin to weave it into our culture? And this next one, we don't need to wait for a crisis in order to offer a growth opportunity. And a lot of times we get busy. We're in the tactical piece. We're day to day, just running the business, especially if it's been a tough year for us. We have those blinders on. We may not be able to see outside of that. But don't wait for a crisis or someone to come in and say, hey, I'm putting in my resignation, to be like, whoa, okay, what can we do to keep you? Do you want a promotion? Because it's too late. It's too late by then. So for this, we got to be proactive and not reactive. That's what I bolded in my notes today. Always maintain offense, right? We talk about offense and defense. What are some things that the plays that you can write or script for your quarterback, for your good receiver? I'm using a sports analogy here, but that's what you want to do. Like offensive minds, creative offensive minds, they're thinking ahead. They're being proactive, not reactive. If we're playing defense, we're always back on our heels and we're trying to catch the next thing, anticipate the next thing, and we become reactive. So how can we stay proactive? How can we play offense when it comes to growth opportunities? I think one of the biggest retention mistakes that we make is reacting to resignations instead of creating those readiness plans. And we're going to talk about growth plans here, going back to those career lattices. But, what are our visible growth plans or growth rhythms within our business? They could look like internal workshops. I had a team once that we were trying to cross-train. And one of the things that we did is we met weekly 45-minute meeting, and somebody brought to the group, we had an agenda, things were laid out. It wasn't just, hey, come in, what do you want to talk about today? They were internal workshops about how to use processes, what people were doing, and I created a Google Doc, and everybody went in, had the dates on there, and they signed up. But that's just a way for you to have those internal workshops and be able to cross-train, and people say, I didn't think about that, but I'm doing something else that I think can tie into that. And it's creating those readiness plans. So if somebody does walk out the door, now what you've done is everybody has a good awareness. You may lose an expert in an area here, lose an expert in an area there, but for the most part, you have a group of generalists that can step in, fill the gap until you hire another expert or grow into that opportunity to become your next expert. So you see how this is moving here. This is how we're building it into our culture. And one of the things that I always encourage business owners and leaders to do, and if you're an employee and you're onboarding to an organization, what's the pathway? Like, explain to those individuals, hey, I know you're onboarding. During the onboarding process, this is where you're starting, but this is where people have gone. John, 2 years ago, was in your same shoes. Now look where John's at. Maybe he's leading projects. Maybe he's stepped out and now he's over in the marketing side of the house when he began in training, right? So let them know that there's movement within the organization, within your team, whether it may be just an initial team member to maybe a team lead, right? As people are moving on, doing better things, not everybody, I'm not ignorant to the fact that everybody's going to stay with your company or your business forever. But how are you training replacements? Because I would never want to move up in an organization until I have trained my replacement or at least got somebody ready to step into my shoes. That's what I mean by integrating this growth ladder, this growth culture into your organizations, into your teams. And if you're out there listening to this and you're just, say, I don't lead a team, I'm just an employee. How are you training for that next growth opportunity? And it may not be the promotion or a title, but it may be going and doing something. Yeah, some of us just need a job. And so we hire into an organization to take what we got, maybe what our skill set lends itself to, but you're also looking maybe to start your own company. So what are going on behind the scenes to begin to build that dream of yours? That's what people, they want the momentum. They don't just want a paycheck anymore. How can they create momentum when they wake up in the morning and they're excited to come be part of, your mission as a leader, your mission as a business owner, or, a team lead, whatever that looks like. How do you get people excited to come do the things together and then look at opportunities to grow themselves? That's what we're talking about here. That's what this growth roadmap, that's the application piece, particularly for this topic that we're talking about. And the way that I like to kind of lay this growth roadmap out is, what skills do you need now? What skills do you need next? And what skills do you need later? Later. What skills do you need now? What skills do you need next? And what skills do you need later? And what that's going to do for employees is, okay, where am I lacking now? What are those things that maybe I have holes in my training? Maybe I have holes in my experience. Where can I go gain experience? What do I need now to do that? Now looking forward, what do I need next? And that opens up the conversation of, where do you want to grow next, right? And then what are the things down the road, 6 months to a year down the road, that you're looking to get either skills in, training in, experience in? Those are the things, and we're always moving forward, right? We're playing offense here. We're creating that offensive game plan. We're not sitting back on the defense. Not where did you want to go? We're always moving people forward. So we're not being reactive, we're being proactive. And that's the main takeaway for this piece. Now, as we move people into their growth plans, we're no longer being reactive and saying, okay, Where do you see yourself? They're living it. They're living their growth plans. We have to implement. A lot of times you'll go through that exercise and you'll identify what skills you need now, what skills you need next, and what skills you need later. And you write all that down, you have a conversation about it, and then it just falls flat. There's no implementation. So in this next topic, I want you to implement, because they need to be living their growth, not just looking forward to it. They need to be in it. And once we get them there, now we know that it's part of our being. It's part of our culture. And this next topic here is we need to grow with them as leaders, not for them. And if we begin to walk along beside each other, now what we've done is we know that this growth, this just word that we've been throwing around, now it's become part of our being. And leaders co-create growth opportunities. We don't prescribe them. I worked in the medical field for a long time, and people would come in and they would, I was in an emergency room. Some people would self-identify. They'd be like, yeah, I got a headache, or, I got strep throat or whatever that, and the doc would prescribe them medicine. What we want to do as leaders, we don't want to prescribe somebody a fix. We want to co-create what that looks like. And then as a leader, that may stretch you. As a business owner, that may be an opportunity for you to grow as well. So jump into that. That's a roadblock that I see people really having in their businesses or their organizations or as employees, is we're not afraid to step outside of our comfort zone to grow somebody else. And so now what we're doing is we're just holding them back. We need to get out front and grow together. So some things that I wrote down, just some notes. Ownership over obligation. We have to own the progress. We have to play a part in co-designing that. And then both, not just the business owner, not just the leader, but also the employee. Now what we're doing is we create that ownership. And it's not an obligation. It's not like, John, you have to do this to stay with us. We've created an ownership piece. So what that does is it allows people to step into that next growth pattern. And now it just keeps going. Once we start and lay the foundation and we create that sense of ownership, it's relational. We're both growing. I'm going to grow with you. We're going to grow together. And in turn, we're going to grow this business. You see, we're all this think, do, be strategy, how we think about growth, turns into how we begin to behave within our organizations. And then it ends with, now it's part of our being. And now we're growing and we don't even realize it. Like, it's just a habit. It's part of our culture. And that's the design process. That's the piece that we want to strive for. In every team, in every organization that I've worked for, that's high performing, that's doing great things, they have that culture. And it's not by accident. It's designed into the fabric of everything that they stand for. It's part of their mission and it's part of their vision. So one of the things that, I absolutely encourage you to do, at least quarterly, if not monthly, is to have these vision value conversations. And that goes something like this. We sit down for a conversation. It could be a one-on-one, probably a team environment if you have a small team, but you need to state the vision of the organization. Then you need to hear and ask questions and be very curious here about what their vision is and how they see themselves being part of the future, because your vision needs to be big enough to allow their vision to fit inside it. And if you're thinking too small as a business owner, as a leader, that's going to be your first clue. Man, I need to stretch myself. I need to have a bigger vision, because my team, they can't fit inside there. And if they can't see themselves growing in that vision, they're going to begin to look elsewhere. The second part to this is values. What values, what the foundation, words like trust, words like culture. We throw around those words quite a bit, but what do they actually look like? What do they feel like? How can we hold each other accountable? That's where the value conversation needs to go. We have our vision, our North Star. This is our end goal. Now, how are we going to hold each other accountable through our values that we need to identify to get there? Those are the types of conversations that great businesses, great teams, great employees are a part of. So let's recap. It's been a lot, and I know we packed a lot of stuff into a very short amount of time, but we're going to redefine what growth is. It's not just a promotion. It's not just a title. Those are opportunities that will allow people to see themselves having a future within your organization. Then we're going to build it into our culture. We're not going to wait until someone tells us to leave in order to start identifying that growth plan, right? The skills that you need now, the skills that you need next, and the skills that you need later. And then we're going to grow with them. We're going to grow with them as a leader. We're going to grow with them as a business owner. We're going to grow with them as an entrepreneur because we want to grow. It's part of our human nature is to grow. One of the things, and I'll leave you with this, if you want to retain your best people, because it's easier to retain, figure out how to keep the people that you have, that you've invested in, than just go out and hire new ones. Don't just give them a raise. Don't just give them that monetary benefit. I want you to begin to raise their potential. And when you begin to raise their potential, that's when they see themselves as part of what you are building, and they want to be a part of that greatness. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone on the next episode. Bye-bye.